Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. 1 2 3. 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2.
Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I just, yeah, of course, yeah.
A real estate developer, former mayoral candidate, former council candidate, was convicted of vote-by-mail fraud in connection to the 2013 municipal elections. At that time, he was running for council at large and was also pushing a vote referendum that would have loosened the city's rent control laws. Obviously, we'll talk about this in depth. We were in federal court, of course, in Newark, U.S. District Court. That was Judge William J. Martini's chambers all 6 days. So me and my colleague Mark Bucinich will be discussing that at length. But we have a lot of other news for you today as well. We're going to be sitting down with the chairwoman of the Hudson County Democratic Organization, Amy DeGise. We're going to talk about what the first half of 2020s look like, the presidential elections, and much more. On top of that, of course, Jersey City's never boring either. The local employment and training program is in the midst of some controversy of their own. The acting executive director was supposed to have his term expire in just a few days, that's June 30th, but It appears that he'll be there for much longer than expected, and they also appointed a new board chairman, but that only lasted for about 14 hours or so, so that's obviously something that we need to get into. And on top of that, just a couple quick notes. We also want to let you know, for those of you that'll be local for the July 4th holiday next week, that show in Jersey City, their fireworks extravaganza, will be headlined by Pitbull and Jersey City native Akon. So that's something to look forward to. That's a free concert if you're in the area, staying local once again. So we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to sit down with Amy. So you guys just sit tight. We'll be right with you.
It takes more than a state-of-the-art medical facility to make a great hospital. It takes a team of dedicated medical professionals. That's the Jersey City Medical Center, Hudson County's #1 hospital. Medical teams consisting of New Jersey's top doctors, Magnet Award-winning nurses, and accomplished hospital associates, all committed to your good health. That's what you have at the Jersey City Medical Center. Make Hudson County's #1 hospital your first choice. Visit us on the web at barnabashealth.org. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and launch inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
All right, so as promised, here we are, Hudson County View, live and uncut. John, our highness, and now we're joined with the chair of the Hudson County Democratic Organization, Amy DeGise. Amy, thanks for coming on.
God, thank you for having me.
So I got a quick question for you. I hate to put you on the hot seat off the bat, but when your dad was on a couple months ago, he said I was the master of disaster. What do you think of that?
That you are the master? Listen, I think that you are quite the opposite. I think that you play a very nice diplomat in what is like Hudson County politics. You ask good questions, you always keep it fair, and I think it gives people some very good talking points. So,
okay.
Yeah, I don't think disastrous.
Well, I think he just forgot what I said in the intro, but...
Oh, okay. True.
So anyway, more substantive matters. So some housekeeping issues for the HCDO for those that haven't been following along. Your executive director, Susan Ragab, will be departing for the Democratic National Committee, and you have a couple new hires. So tell us about these ladies for those that may not be familiar with them.
Yeah, so first off, I'm going to greatly miss Susan. She came into this, I think, knowing as much as I did about the position, and we just try to rock it every day. And she was always taking initiative and just really great at what she did, and it really helped me out, especially in the first year of kind of finding my grounding. I'm so proud that she's now being elevated to this national level. I told her I need a front row seat in Milwaukee. I'm going to walk around with a cheese hat as often as I can, and I think that that's a really good role for her. So looking at that vacancy, I needed like 6 people to do what this one energetic, ambitious young lady does. Rain Castiglio is the chief of staff for Nick Chevallari, but fun fact, I was her history teacher in high school. So I have known Rain for a while now, and I've got to see her grow and kind of blossom in this political world. And I knew that she would be great to have on a part-time basis, because I cannot steal her from the assemblyman, and allow her to kind of elevate herself and just kind of show her stuff at a county level. And then we have Julietta Voigt, who has been kind of around in the background, helping organize fundraisers and get to know some of the key players and things like that. And she really would like to take the initiative and take that step up. So I think having someone that's a little bit more experienced and someone that's kind of new, put them together, and I think that we're going to still continue paving forward. So hopefully, we have that same type of organization that we did under Susan.
All right, very good. So the timing is not bad. Obviously, we're past the primary. Most of the fun and excitement was in May, as you obviously remember.
Yes.
But we did have that one upset in East Newark, of all places, Dina Grillo defeating incumbent Joe Smith. So just have you had a chance to sit down with her, and what do you think's going to be the future there in West Hudson?
So, and that was a sad one. Mayor Smith took a lot of pride in his work, and he did it for a long time. And he actually called me that night, where usually would think be the other way around. And he says, I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of the work. We're very proud of him at the organization. Dina and I have spoken. She sounds really energetic. She sounds really up for the task, and did not run an ugly or dirty campaign at all. Wasn't looking to, hurt the mayor in any way. So I think she's going to take on this role, give it some breath of fresh air, shine some light on East Newark, work on some of the shared services that they get through. We haven't sat down yet, but we do have plans to do so. And I'm looking forward to that. I think it'll be nice to have a female at the table. I jokingly said I have no more 12 angry men at my leadership meetings. So it'll be nice, and I think it is reflective of the community of trying to, bring in some new blood without banging out the old.
Okay, yeah, that's different. That's a change of pace.
Yeah.
So, with that behind us, obviously we're what most people call the dog days of summer. So what do you have on your radar at this point, between now and the end of 2019?
So luckily November's election, as compared to last November, will be pretty calm for us. So we're going to use this summer and the early fall to set up in our new office. We're on Danforth Ave now in Jersey City. We're creating more of a community type office. We want to have info sessions. We want to hold meetings. We wanted to have, community members as well as elected officials kind of filter through there. So as we're getting adjusted, we're still working on our caucuses and committees. Next to go will be our Asian Pacific Islander, Women's Caucus, and Hispanic Caucus. With all of the cities wanting to have a presence in them, it was difficult for me to assign, just one or two people. So we just try to keep it as diplomatic and open. So hopefully all of those mission statements and their goals for the upcoming year will be established by the end of the fall. And we could start generating some notice to them and what they're doing for the advocacy groups.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
So obviously we're well aware we're already into the presidential season, even though the election's not till next year. So just your thoughts on who you think's really got a shot, and if you're rooting for anyone at this point. Of course, the first debate was yesterday.
Yeah, and it was fun to watch, but it just felt like a lot of people, a lot of similar ideas. I don't think anyone really broke off on their own just yet. But it's exciting to watch, and you hope that none of the candidates start to battle each other. They just stick to their plan, their platform, and start battling, Trump and the Republican Party, because we can't rip each other apart.
Well, it looks like Cory Booker and Joe Biden have already had some little bit of back and forth going on.
Yeah, they're definitely, trading some punches right there. But you hope that they just kind of stick to their message, because nobody wants this to seem like a negative campaign. And 2016, with all those Republicans in the race and people just kind of laughing and saying Donald Trump never had a shot, and then using the other guys as talking points, I feel like we're falling into that same trap, and we don't want to be seen as comical or not taking this seriously. I think all of the candidates are on the same page when it comes to social issues, but we're going to have to hammer out the economic issues, and I think that's what a lot of people are focusing on. That's where their vote goes. They're good with the social stuff, but how are you going to spend their tax money? So I want the candidates to stick to those points. I'm obviously a very big Cory Booker fan. I felt last night he was extremely passionate and came across really strong, as he always does. And I think that Jersey's a little bit different. And having Jersey in the White House has been a very, very long time.
Yes.
And I think he would be a great president. So I thought Elizabeth Warren did well as well. But I just see that word socialist coming out of Trump's mouth if she were to get the nomination. So I think that we need to continue building the party and addressing some of the voter groups, like the millennials that are coming out in stronger numbers. Typically candidates would not go to a younger audiences, they would go to an older audience. And then obviously women of color are going to make up a huge voting block as well. So you need to make sure that their agenda items are being talked about often, so they want to fund your campaigns, they want to volunteer for you and vote for you.
So one more thing on the presidential. So earlier this week, Mayor Fulop was on Hot 97, and he said that Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders were unelectable, and he thought Joe Biden was probably a little past his prime for this race. What did you think about those comments?
I didn't think that. I think that you should probably stay on a more positive note than negative, even if you're not supporting a certain candidate. I disagree wholeheartedly with Joe Biden. Joe Biden has a huge following with younger people, despite his age. And I think his experience is something that people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, they like that he's had that experience in the White House, in Washington, D.C., that they feel like he can beat Trump. And I think that that's the Democratic goal right now, is not just put a good Democrat in there and someone that you support, but you have to be defeat Trump. And it's very, very likely that this man is going to have a second term. As much as we laugh and roll our eyes at what he does, it's very likely. And I also hope the mayor addressed that Ebrew in the Morning had called out the Jersey City schools on multiple times. So I hope he went on there and defended the school district and the teachers for that.
Well, perfect segue, actually, because of course we're still talking about school funding. Who knows how many weeks in a row now. And, clearly there's parents, teachers, and other staff that are concerned about this. At first it was supposed to be like a $60, $70 million shortfall, then it's 100, and it's 120. And, the numbers keep bouncing up and forth. But look, it's a big hole. This is something that's obviously going to be a continuous problem for years to come. I mean, obviously you were on the board for a year and change. I mean, what do you, and of course a teacher as well. So when you're seeing this, hearing this, I mean, what's your take, and what do you think the best corrective measure should be here?
They're really going to have to do some fancy play work with the money that they do have. Now, the state cuts we knew were coming down the line. They had rolled out a 5-year plan, so that should have been better prepared for with some shared services with the city or even the county. Demanding funding from the city seems like the best approach, but then people get alarmed that their tax dollars might go up, and the city council members and the mayor are concerned about their budget as well. But there has to be a better connection between the Board of Ed and the city council. And we saw that meeting a few weeks back where the Board of Ed didn't go to a meeting that the council was holding to talk specifically about that. I feel like that was a no-brainer. It was an easy way to get some ideas out on the table, to discuss some of the needs, because the council people as well as the board members understand the needs of the community. We know that keeping kids in school for after school hours and productive activities like sports or the arts keeps them out of trouble. And that's, if you want crime rates to stay down, you have to keep kids in school longer. But those get cut first with all of these budget cuts. So I feel like the city and even the county could probably step in with some after-school shared activities to help support the teachers and keep the kids in there longer. Because these budget cuts aren't just going to reflect teachers' pay cuts and the staff, their paychecks. They're going to reflect what we can offer our students to be, competitive in New Jersey and the rest of the nation. So I think that they should hire a full-time grant writer and start trying to find some money that's out there that people could, supplement some of these gaps.
All right. Well, clearly this is something you've given some thought. So on another local note, that the Board of Ed President Suzanne Thomas is also the acting executive director of the Jersey City Employment and Training Program. He got another 90-day appointment last night, and there was a new board chair, Robert Knapp, named, and now this morning he's resigned already, so that's unusual even by Hudson standards.
Even by Hudson standards, is right. Yeah.
So, obviously, this isn't something that you're intimately involved in, but just, watching from the sidelines, what's your take on all this?
It seems, I read one of your articles recently that talked about all of the expansion of programs at JCETP, and it looked like, they had turned a new page. There was, more resources serving more of the community, and it seemed really positive. So this kind of chaos right now makes you kind of take a double look. With Sudan, I feel like the Board of Ed might be, enough. And now he's being the acting director, but I know he's no longer on the board. I think having one less thing on his plate will allow him to kind of hit the ground running, or continue hitting the ground running as he's been doing to make all these connections. But I was actually going to call Bobby Knapp today and congratulate him. And
it was a very small window.
Yeah, I guess I should have got him early this morning. And I know he takes a lot of pride in things like that. He lives close by to me, and I see him walking to NJCU often because he still teaches classes. And towards the end of the last semester, I said, "Oh, you must almost be done." He goes, "I hate when I'm done." and it really, I was like, what a good educator and man you are for your community, that you just don't want to be stagnant. So I hope all is well, because I think he would have offered some really great perspectives on what has worked in the past, and he has a good vision for the future as well.
Very good, Amy. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Amy, of course, we thank you for your time. We're just going to take a quick break. We will be back momentarily.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just one path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to newportnj.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. newportnj.com. Newport, live like you want.
The Jersey City Medical Center. You know it for its award-winning, life-saving ambulance service. It's also your health hub, with health and wellness locations staffed with certified professionals all through Hudson County. The Jersey City Medical Center, here to help you with your healthy, here when you need us the most. The Jersey City Medical Center. Visit us on the net to learn more. Jersey City Medical Center, Robert Wood Johnson, Barnabas Health Facility. Let's be healthy together.
All right, Hudson County View live and uncut. John Arhitis, and I'm joined to my right with my colleague Mark Bucinich. So Mark, obviously, needless to tell you or anybody watching this, that the big story, again, was Hoboken Politico Frank Raia being convicted of vote-by-mail fraud. So there's a lot to say, but I guess just in short, the jury deliberated for about a day and a half. A lot of people were chattering, you know, amongst themselves from the streets in Washington and elsewhere in the Mile Square that they thought this could be a hung jury. Obviously, that's not what happened. You know, the jury came back with their unanimous decision in William J. Martini's court, and we are where we are. You know, that sentencing is going to be October 3rd, and that's supposed to be for now at 10 a.m. where he could face a max sentence of 5 years and a $250,000 fine. So I wanted to have you weigh in on this particular topic because you were actually there when Raia testified. So obviously we saw what you wrote. Unfortunately, there's no tape recording in federal court. So if you could just provide a little color for the viewers about what happened that day, his demeanor, you know, the sights and sounds of the courtroom, if you could.
Yeah, sure, John. Yeah, I was there last Thursday, and you know, at the beginning of the day, there were several witnesses that first appeared, and then when Mr. Raia decided that he was going to testify in his own trial, Judge William Martini did say to him, advise him that he didn't have to do that, but I guess Mr. Raia was determined to do that because he wanted to prove his innocence. And you know, it was interesting. Before things got started, I was sitting outside the courtroom and saw him there speaking with somebody, and I assumed it was his defense lawyer, and sure enough, it was Mr. Alan Vegas from Bridgegate fame, Zagas rather, I should say, from Bridgegate fame, right?
Correct.
And who represented David Wildstein a few years ago. And so Mr. Zagas didn't seem to have any issue with Mr. Raia testifying. And during the course of his testimony, the prosecutors said essentially, well, Mr. Raia, we have 3 witnesses who cooperated with the government who said that you did indeed pay voters in exchange for votes, but you're saying that you did not do that. And Mr. Raia said that essentially that Matt Colicchio, Mr. Frazier, and Mr. Michael Holmes were all liars.
All right, well, that's a pretty good summation, I would say. What was interesting, and you know, it's all very interesting in my opinion, but one thing that really stuck out was just the fact that, you know, he would take, I mean, just the general fact he would take the stand. I mean, that really surprised a lot of people. I mean, going in, I wasn't expecting that. Were you? No,
not at all. I thought for sure that Mr. Zagas would lean over to Mr. Raia and say, Frank, this may not be such a great idea, but again, it seemed that Frank was very determined to testify because he wanted to set the record straight that he did not indeed pay voters in exchange for votes that would be beneficial to him, and obviously his referendum that he was seeking to overturn rent control laws in Hoboken.
Right. So, you know, a lot of this trial was about let the people decide. That super PAC to try to get that referendum you just mentioned that would have loosened rent control laws. They were trying to get that passed, and of course, again, Raia was running for council at large. That team was called One Hoboken, and there was some controversy because they hired a payroll company between Let the People Decide and the payroll company called Blue Water Operations. They were paying dozens of workers that didn't actually have to appear on ELEC because Blue Water was getting paid the bulk sum to then pay out the workers. And like you mentioned, you know, Colicchio, Hobbs, and Frazier all said that Raia was in charge of let the people decide, and it was at his direction that they were getting people to bring unopened ballots back to his social club. So all in all, I mean, what was your final takeaway? I mean, did you ever feel like, I mean, I know you only were able to get to court once, but based on what we spoke about, what you read, did you ever feel like Raia had a shot here?
It seemed like I mean, I was impressed just with the evidence that the government was presenting during that day's worth of trial, John, and so it seemed pretty overwhelming considering the 3 witnesses that said that they were all, you have to think about like what was in it for them well, the argument was made rather that they weren't the ones who were real estate developers, and therefore, because Raia was claiming that they did this on their own, but they were not the ones who are real estate developers trying to overturn a referendum on loosening rent control rules.
Right, and of course all 3 of those witnesses were cooperating with the government. Matt Colicchio is supposed to be sentenced in September, but we will see what we see. I mean, those dates are obviously subject to change. So we're going to jump again. We're just going to take a quick word from one of our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City. Shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office space and an address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment. Adjacent to all modes of transportation. On-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. 201-521-9000 or visit on the web at panapintoproperties.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
All right, guys, so we're back. Hudson County View, live and uncut. John Arhitis with Mark Bucinich. So, guys, one thing that I think, before we move on to Jersey City, I think it's of note that U.S. Attorney Craig Carpenito talked about the verdict, and based on what he said, it appears like this investigation is ongoing, Mark. I mean, if you recall, he said today's verdict underscores this office's continued dedication to uncovering, investigating, and prosecuting acts of corruption at every level of New Jersey government. To me, that doesn't sound like an investigation that's completely wrapped up, but do you think that's a fair assessment?
That sounds pretty fair to say, John. I mean, you have to wonder then, they're going to be looking Raia's trial focused on what he was doing in 2013, so now they're going to be going back and looking at what happened in 2015.
That would be the logical conclusion. Of course, those were the ward council races, and certainly there was quite a few vote by mails delivered in that race. We're not sure where that's going to go, and then of course there was a lot of vote by mails in 2017 as well. Now certainly it's possible to submit vote by mails in a perfectly legal, permissible fashion, but based on what the U.S. Attorney has uncovered to this point, it doesn't look like that was always the case. So, we're going to see what we're going to see. I mean, Colicchio testified that he tape recorded Eduardo Gonzalez, who ran for 5th Ward Council in 2015, as well as Perry Bellafiore, who's a longtime Politico at Hoboken, and Freeholder Romano. Of course, we don't know what those tapes say. I mean, for all we know, they could be talking about the Mets game. They could be talking about a complicated vote-by-mail scheme. Anything in between. I mean, we just don't know. So, I mean, it could have been a pocket dial. So I mean, all options are on the table, but I mean, all indications at this moment is that this thing is far from finished. So, On that note, let's move on to Jersey City, Mark. So I know you've covered a lot with Sudan Thomas, mostly on the Board of Ed end.
Sure.
And actually, before we get into the employment and training, let me just quickly make mention that the Jersey City Together advocacy group had some people at the council meeting last night, and they were talking about potentially getting $16 million from the city to try to balance the budget, and so they could also keep their central office. So I know this is new to you, but just based on everything that you've covered regarding the school funding, which has been a lot, I mean, what's your take on this latest development?
Well, I mean, it seems that New Jersey City Together has also been saying that that they should have been, city should have been raising the school levy tax. It seems that they feel that they need to make other proposals so that it covers that $120 million impending funding gap because of the elimination of state aid adjustment cuts, that is. So it's interesting to hear that most recent proposal.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just for clarification for our viewers, I mean, we haven't posted this story yet on our website, but there was no formal action from the council. They haven't introduced their budget yet. That's probably going to be at the July meeting, and they typically pass the budget by the end of the summer, so we'll see what we see. But the other thing that I wanted to mention in Jersey City, you obviously heard me speaking to Madam Chair DeGise about that, was Sudan now, as most people know, has been the acting director for the Employment and Training Program since January 7th, I believe that is. And he actually got a 90-day extension, which is interesting because he's applied to be the permanent executive director.
Interesting.
And on top of that, we also know that Bobby Knapp was appointed the chair last night, but you know, before you could even think about wishing a congratulations, as Amy noted, he's already resigned. So this is a situation that's a little odd, even by Hudson standards, and it just gets even odder. So, I mean, what's your take on this?
Well, and he said that, I think in your article you quoted, he was quoted as saying, John, that there needs to be some soul searching within the U.S., more or less. I may be paraphrasing, but I think he said there needs to be certain repairs, if I remember the exact quote. Did he elaborate to you as far as what he meant to that? That was obviously such a concern for him that it caused him to resign only 14 hours later.
Correct. I mean, yeah, I mean, he said this organization is he basically said in shambles. I mean, he didn't use that word. He said it's in desperate need of repair. And, you know, who knows what could have happened between last night and this morning, but clearly something major had to have happened for him to take that stance. You know, they also appointed Stacey Flanagan, the Jersey City Director of Health and Human Services, as vice chair. So whether or not she'll end up being the new chair, again, you know, I'm not sure. We'll just have to wait. But this is interesting because this is all coming when Sudan and someone from the mayor's office has made the allegation that Governor McGreevey, who of course used to run the employment and training program, misappropriated money. And of course McGreevey has said this is nonsense. He said this was a forensic auditing firm picked by hand-picked surrogates from Mayor Fulop. So where do you think it goes from here? Well,
John, I just wanted to say there was another interesting quote that you had in your story, and that was from Ward F Councilman Jermaine Robinson, right? He seems to be a little bit displeased about the lack of a national search for a new executive director, and he seemed to be a little bit annoyed that Sudan Thomas is looking to fill that role.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. Clearly, some council members are not on the same page with Mr. Thomas, so we'll see where it goes. But on that, we're going to have to call it a day. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a lovely holiday weekend. We'll talk to you soon.